came, okay, how do we form our contraption? Who and who comes together? Then you begin to see Nigeria in action. All right, so a lot of people talk they talk big game actually on social media and co. And then they tell you how we want to do this, we want to do that. But at the end of the day, you find out that when it comes to brass tacks, people are not ready to step up. And you come together and say, look, we're going to put money together and do this and do that. If you don't have the money yourself, that project will not actually see the light of day. However, I didn't form ANRP alone, and of course, I didn't run it alone. A few people came through, but it wasn't the kind of numbers we thought. We moved around the country. We registered a lot of people online. Remember that from the old parties, the way they understand party registration, someone to register in a party is you have to go back to your what, where you were born or where your parents were born, and register from there in some, weather beating manual register. We did all of that online. However, the trends that there was need for a change. And I must say that, yes, of course, I wasn't the only one on the scene. There were a lot of people, some of my friends, people like Chore, like Fela, of course, Kingsley is a bit elderly compared to us, who also stepped up in that 2019. Now, one of the questions I get asked a lot is, okay, where were you the chairman and then you also were the presidential candidate? And of course, it's a bit complicated, but I'll try to explain. The issue being that, like I said before, a lot of people are on the side. And someone wants to just roll in who will probably not understand and appreciate what back-breaking work one has done. There was because of the energy, the conviction that those who formed the party could have. So my idea, which I tried to sell to the party, was, guys, those of us who formed that party and stepped up, even with our little money, when it was important for us to do so, all of us should try and run for office now, because nobody knows whose luck is going to shine, and nobody knows where they could make a mistake, and before you know it, you're there. And I believe that those who formed the parties were the ones that should run. But some people also believe that no, not necessarily. And let us just be there as administrators and go and look for somebody outside to come and run on the party. And we had a few instances like that where people would then tell you, why will you give, okay, how much are you putting on ground? And then they complain about how you haven't spent money, every polling booth. You haven't sent agents there. See, the only way it can work, or that we could be at all, was for whoever had resources when it was time to contest election, run for election on your own steam. And I believe that if you ran on your own steam, what would happen is that if all you had was 2 million naira and you pasted and you printed banners and so on, and all you had was 2 million naira. And you can run around your circle and raise a bit more money if it works for you, but you have to have a skin in the game. I know a few people who ran and you couldn't see their money in the game, but maybe they were popular. I won't mention names, but good for them. But I believe that, look, you have to have some skin in the game. And if you have 1 million or 2 million and put the logo of the party or name, the people had seen ANRP logo was a laptop, Some actually said it was Yahoo party, but we felt, look, technology was it. And everybody has the key. Look at us today, we're on Zoom. And now in the new normal, our lives are being run by computers, So that was how it went. And well, I went around the country. Now, okay, let me quickly say that I made it open, truly. I did make it open for anyone to run. And one guy, actually, at least one person, stepped up and was actually campaigning within the party to run for president. One of the things we instituted earlier on, even when we contested in Ekiti, we considered this idea that whoever was going to run for political office should be ready for a debate with whoever was the opponent. And we had that debate in the kitchen. I think we just had one person running, So we had that debate in the kitty, and we were having that debate in different places for Senate. Yes, for the guy that ran, Michelle Barrow, one of a great guy, ran for House of Reps in Abuja, had a debate with his opponent and so on, and did very well and so on. So I left it open, and a chap from who's based in Scotland actually, was in the party and tried to run, but I think it didn't put enough steam, because by the time I stepped out, because for 1 year I kept quiet about my ambition, but by the time I stepped up and said, "Guys, listen, man, I'm running for this election, and I'm ready for debates and so on," the guy felt slighted and felt, yeah, and he's not going to. But I think in myself, I try to be very fair really to people. So basically, that was how it went. And now I went around the country, and I also was part of PACT. I was part of PACT myself. Sharma, came for the meeting once. I went for 2 meetings. When I heard that there was such a meeting going on, I went for 2 meetings. And one meeting, and what we said was, my own opinion from the beginning was, guys, the only way this idea will work, whereby one of us will be nominated or elected at the end of the day as the representative of the youth the choice of the youth of the top 4 societies, was such transparency like never before seen in life, so that Nigerian youth who were there in the pact and able to service this guys at that time, organize an election online. We could organize an election online where all the youths, all the Nigerian youths, wherever they may be in the world, would actually be able to vote for whoever they liked. And let me say that when I said that, I knew who could win that election if it was done online. Toure was more popular than most of us. Of course, he ran the election. He came in once, only once, and said, when someone was saying something coalition, say, guys, I don't think that's coalition. Because at that time we had seen a few fake coalitions, and of course it was all about political backstabbing and co. Hey, Nigerian youth should never be every time there's power on the table, even your best friend will shock you sometimes. But most of the times, so it's terrible because you don't know who anybody's reporting to, who's anyhow. I propose that this be very open. I also propose that we do an online voting. I also propose that in that pact, that is presidential aspirants, that we have we compare ourselves to, we don't have to have a winner of any debate, just discuss your ideas. And I must tell you, Pastor, and everybody listening, I personally believe that I have a few ideas. I have a few ideas. Because again, I've been a writer for quite a while, I'm a bit of an exact person in terms of my thoughts. I'm not perfect. So I had ideas around different things I did which I believe, I could defend. Anyhow, so PAC did not work. After the second meeting, and they were telling me, don't worry, we're going to elect among ourselves. Less than 12 of us, and 12 of you and elect someone among yourselves that would represent the whole of Nigeria or Nigerian youth. I felt that couldn't work, and also I felt that, look, there were 50 other people I knew were outside who, who were outside that 12 people who invited. And these people that, look, they didn't invite us. We don't know what they were doing. They said they were packed. They were young people who were running and all of that. And so whatever decision they took is not my business. There was even another guy who is still an APC guy. His name is Alkali. I don't know, from some maybe Kano or so, who was with us in Pact. And I asked him, I said, guy, what are you doing here? Yeah, what are you doing here? Okay, so if you contest with people here and somebody has won, are you going to go back to tell Buhari to step down? How does that work? This is politics. I felt I didn't have a chance in Pact also because all that needed to happen is for 2 or 3 people to have a deal behind and they take that. And of course, so what happened at the end of the day. The last 4 is 3. And I felt that, and of course, Madam Obi was the umpire who later stepped up to try to contest as well. That's politics for you. I felt that, look, when I was approached by Fela, need support now. I said, look, Fela, it's not going to work. I don't believe because I wanted to hear what Kingsley had to offer for this country. So what happened is that if I had worked, one person, let's say Kingsley or if Fela or if Shore came up, you would never have heard from the other people who, were, of course, they were the big boys in social media and so on. And in fact, if you looked at the election result at the end of the day, even though no matter how terrible the elections were, the by the big boys and so on. Even though I think their investment, the result they got was not commensurate with the investments they made. Kingsley had about 20,000 votes or so. Shore had about 30,000 votes. Fela about 16,000 votes. I have 1,000 votes. I'm not very big on Instagram. I'm not big on Twitter. Look, I just, what I want is I just need free time to be able to think and write. And I'm always writing. I have 6 books, hundreds of articles, and anybody that went and Googled me or went to Premium Times, you see that I try to take on the topical issues. My last writing was on housing sector, and the next one is going to be on deregulation, which I hope to write over this weekend. All of the false starts in deregulation and all. So anyway, I traveled around this country. I think I've tried to put in some time, and let me say that that was the reason I ran in the first place. I knew I couldn't win. I didn't have a chance. I never deluded myself for one day that I could win Nigeria's president's election. Where am I coming from? But nobody and nothing was going to stop me from speaking up and actually putting my ideas in the fray. And I must say, it's a great investment. I didn't get the money. I had my money. Most of the money I spent was my money. A few people actually stepped up and, gave me 1 or 2 things here and there. Very thankful to them. I think I was able to raise about 12 million, thereabout, or 13, 15 million. And I put in about 40 of my own money, sold and a property that I had somewhere. And I believe it was great investment because if I had done that, at least you probably heard somewhere there's some guy who ran somewhere. Okay. You probably, I've never met you before. You've probably never met me before. You've never met me before. And so has to continue to be pushed. Yesterday in the newspapers, in this day, they carried an article about 48 memos that went to the Senate and regarding the constitutional amendment. And they said 48 groups sent whatever memos when the thing closed. And among the people who sent was Prince Tony Momo, former minister, and also Mr. Fasua. That's, I never knew that. I thought that a lot of people would write to them for whatever. I just was fired up. I felt, listen, I needed to write to these people. And I wrote them 2 memos. One was on INEC and the conduct parties, of course, about the deregistration of parties, a very roughshod, very, very ill thought out action by Messrs. INEC, unfortunately. That's why a lot of people are in court now. And also, I also wrote to them on the federation account and the sharing formula, which I felt that a lot more money should be going to the local government. I believe as an economist that the next part of growth for this country, and I believe that Nigeria's economy should be growing at double digits at a time like this. As a matter of fact, the United States economy was growing at double digits in the 50s, 60s. Before this COVID, Australia's economy was growing at about 8%. India's economy was growing at about 6%. China's economy was to 6.5%. Chinese economy grew at 10% straight on for 1 decade plus. And then Nigeria, here we like to celebrate our 2.5%. This is one of the first debates that we attended, and I attended about 16 different debates in different places. But there was one that was organized by Osasu Igbinedion around the beginning of the campaigns, and I was there. Obi Ezekwesili was there, and when I said, look, Nigeria should be aiming for 15% growth, she felt, look, he said to me, Tope, stop selling them Kool-Aid. Well, I didn't take it very, very likely. I said, listen, I'm not selling Kool-Aid here, man, because it's like we even before the race starts, we have already devalued ourselves. We have already said, look, we can't even do it. An economy that hasn't started, economies in Africa should grow at 20%. Who knew what needed to be done and were committed, and can stake their life on it. Because it's just like a child, it's just like a newborn child. You see how fast they grow. In 1 month, they've added weight, in 1 year, they started walking. And then they grow so fast. So a toddler economy like us, which should be able to grow that fast, compared to China or United States. Before this COVID, the United States economy was growing at 4.5%, even under Trump. And there we were. If we manage 1.8% or 2.5, we begin to slap ourselves at the back. And of course, we begin to waste all the money. Anyhow, so I traveled about 32 states in Nigeria, and I wanted to learn about Nigeria. And after all said and done, I actually formed 3 NGOs, which I'm trying to pilot now. The first one is called Teach Nigeria, which is targeting education for all children in Nigeria. But when I went, especially to the north of Nigeria, I saw that if you found 2 or 3 teachers in the public primary school on a given day, that's a very lucky school. Many times they had just maybe one caretaker who wasn't a teacher. The children go there, they play all day, they go home at 12, they come to school at 10. The whole thing is not taken serious at all. So I felt that let us set something up whereby we could take books that their children have used and take it to the sports schools and we gift them and we buy some other things with it, like exercise books, pencils, spirals. And we've been to a few schools like that. The second one, the second one is called the TEPD, Tertiary Education for Productivity and Development Initiative. By that one, I intended to drive one of my campaign ideas that, because of the development gap in Nigeria and the rest of the world, we can't wait. We cannot wait until even our university or polytechnic students graduate before they begin to look for jobs, then they tell them, sorry, you don't have experience and so on. If the country has this amount of challenges, bad roads, no water, no electricity in most homes and so on, by all means, you need to be putting everything you have into the game already. Okay, so I believe that we needed to find a way to incentivize students to think outside of the box and begin to solve problems in their immediate society. So, like students of engineering, civil engineering, already, if you scrap FEMA, there's this thing called FEMA, Federal Road Maintenance. There's no reason why our university and polytechnic students shouldn't be patching the roads and maintaining the roads. A fraction of the amount of contract you would have had to give to these people, and so you can even get. We have a contract for you. You want to do Lagos to Abuja road, Lagos to Algeria, like I said, you want to do. You can get that road, but you have to take, you have to mentor our students in X, Y, Z universities, and for small projects, show them how to drive the tractors, how to do the work, let them sweat. And you can pay the students a token, they'll be very happy doing it. and they can also have the part of, and that's how you're going to hand over this country to the youths of this country. So that SEPD is doing that. I actually tried to approach TED Fund on it some time back. All of those things are working. So I was the only candidate that went to Boko Haram as well. So one day I flew into Maiduguri, and the next day I took a drive to Damaturu, past some of those crazy places like Aoni that was bombed not long ago, Makinta, Benny Sheikh, someone hoisted. I saw that even as the government tries to build, those guys that come in from time to time, they destroy everything, and they kill everybody inside. And they go crazy anytime after the 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock prayers. And I passed through that territory, beautiful place, deserts on the left and right. Okay, my network is cracking. I hope I don't know. It's just Nigeria's internet. Everything is a problem here. Sorry. So I passed through yeah, in some Arabian country, though it's not as arid as those deserts you find in the UAE, for example, if you're traveling from maybe Dubai to Alain or to Abu Dhabi or whatever, but it was as plush. It was plain land, and you could, for as far as the eyes could see, it was just a bit of shrubs. But that is where the Boko Haram people passed. So I got to Damaturu, and then I think the same day I had to come back in a Volkswagen Golf, disguised as a normal passenger. So, and then the next day, or that same, I think it was the next day, to Calabar. So you could see how diverse Nigeria was. By the time I was landing in Calabar, it had just rained. I started in Calabar, and and then in the same country we had that desert land as well in the north of Nigeria. Apart from having bragging rights to say, guys, we also tried this. I saw it on it was a sacrifice. You see, anybody that wants to talk about Nigeria must okay. It's going to be very important than just complaining about everything. So that was my journey. Now I saw just how poor Nigerians were. I saw just how much they don't care about your ideas. If you don't have money, they don't listen to you. From everywhere in Katsina, I was almost mobbed. Those boys were crazy. In Akwa Ibom, they told me point blank, there's this place they call 4 Lanes, and at the end of it, there's a market there. I went out, and I usually like to interact with people, giving out my flyers and stuff like that. I had my ideas on flyers. So my ideas, I could have one idea on housing, for example, on a flyer. At the back, I'd have bullet points of what I think we could do about that. I could have an on security, ideas about that, and so on and so forth. So now I must let you know, by way of concluding this part, I'm quite disillusioned. I saw someone said there, why is he saying that everything is a problem? Look, if I don't annoy you, let me annoy you to be able to do the unthinkable, to get off your comfort zone. So sometimes I could be that crazy, get off your comfort zone. It's not something Nigeria is not something you'd just pamper and paper over. We have tremendous problems here. Not only in Nigeria, even as a Black person, you need to be worried. And we need to think to ourselves, how do we get up to this point where we are? Look at where the country is today. Naira is doing 440, 450. We never thought that we could get to this point. All the prices of everything have gone up. When you listen to all those probes going on in the Senate and House of Reps, you see how civil servants are charged with in Nigeria using the funds that are raised, generally just blew 95% on themselves.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question, Tope.
Yes.
What has brought Nigeria to this stage? How come a country with so much potential, a country who should be doing double-digit GDP growth per annum, a country that has so much resource, and a country that has such high-quality people like yourself, what has brought Nigeria to where it is today? What, in your own perspective, do you think is the problem? Not what is wrong with Nigeria, but why is Nigeria the way it is?
Right. It's a combination of several things, and part of it is historical. And when I say historical, I'm not one of those who complain about colonization. I believe that it was a fait accompli. There's nothing we could do about that. We were captured, we were conquered. For those who have read the history, we were conquered as a people, and we were colonized. However, something broke. So when people blame the nationalists, Awolowo, Zeke, Sardauna, and co, for not stepping up or for being tribalists, I asked them, what do you expect that they will be? I mean, these were people who, they grew up as, mostly as villagers, right? For those who have read their biographies, only and ended up in America. So, but these people were saddled with running a country when there was no internet, there was no mobile phone, there was no email, there was no Instagram, no Zoom, no Twitter, no Facebook, and even no books to tell you how you could run a new country that had just got independence. So they were bound to make mistakes. But the moment the first coup happened, I don't know the motivation behind that coup, but again, we were also living within the context of a Cold War, whereby there was Russia on one side, or USSR, and America on the other side. It was called Cold War because they must fight a bullet against themselves within that time. But that war was being fought for them by minion countries, and they were also arming people, removing governments at will, putting in new ones, and so on. So, I must say that running a country and also um, running a country is tough work. And running a country like Nigeria is a very complex problem. If it was an equation, it'll be some sort of trinomial quadratic equation. It's not cut and dry. So before you knew it, things like corruption started, of course, at a high level, and everybody dug into their tribal enclaves. So at the end of the day, people say they'd rather be from their tribe first before they become a Nigerian. So there's also a lot of miseducation. When people come and say, for example, that the Constitution is a fraud, that we, the people in front of it, is a fraud. The soldiers wrote it. Okay, so the thing about the soldiers is, first of all, to find out what was the motivation behind the soldiers, especially in the Cold War era. All right. So I studied a bit. I always did so many electives, military politics. And I think the first coup in Africa happened in either Sudan or Egypt. One of those two. There's still a bit of debate. However, the point was, it was people giving soldiers money to go and organize schools so they could take over resources and so on. So by the time that happened, we the people in the Nigerian Constitution, yes, it is a fraud, but so also was the we the people in the beginning of the American Constitution in 1776, because the we the people, that we the people was a few aristocrats from the 13 colonies at that time. Some of the colonies were under France, some were under Spain, some were under England. And they said, we the people, they were not elected. They didn't get the mandate of the people. And apart from that, when they wrote we the people, that first constitution even considers the black man as only 3/5 of a human being, 60% or 66% to towards human being. That was what they wrote in there. And that constitution only permitted those only landowners to vote. Women could not vote. Blacks could not vote. Even white people that didn't have money or didn't have land could not vote. It took several amendments for universal suffrage to happen. In fact, it wasn't until 1971 before women could vote in Switzerland. But by then, Nigerian women had been voting since 1952 or 1948, in the first election in this country. Women had been voting. So what have we done with this? So it takes, everybody is at fault, okay? For those of us who have not actually striven enough to invest in this country, to say the truth, to I don't know. Sorry about this network. I'm so sorry about this network. We have a lousy network here in this office. I don't know why. But we're trying to change that. So my apologies. Sometimes it cracks up. The fault is partly ours because sometimes we have miseducated ourselves. Sometimes we haven't said the truth well enough. We haven't been strong enough. Sometimes we haven't taken enough risk. Okay, so we haven't taken enough risks, to do the unthinkable, so that our country may move forward. And of course, then you begin to ask all of this corruption and wastage from an economic point of view. There's no way, there's no way we would waste our resources like we do and make something of our country. It's not going to happen. There's no way we would waste money like this. There's no way we would have, people elected in government, like riding around in 30-car convoys, and then you think that the account will balance. Account will never balance. Of course, we travel abroad, we see how they live. Go to the UK, an MP gets fired for, gets fired for spending £30 in the wrong way. Okay, not even America where the sectors of black capitalism. This is not happening. Okay, so basically, so it's everybody's contribution. But in fact, I must say, Pastor, that I've sort of given up on partisan politics in Nigeria. For now, I don't see how we would actually make a headway the way things are. The odds are stacked up big time against us. We would not have, it's not working. The young people of this country will never have enough money to withstand the kind of financial firepower that goes into politicking in this country. For now, I've given up on that. I don't know what miracle will happen. I sometimes I hinge my hope on maybe if we develop the culture of protest so that no matter which government is there, let people be able to give feedback by way of protest. So sometimes I support what Shore is doing, at least let people be able to step up and say, look, we don't want this, no matter who is there, because many times they say even a revolution throws up new tyrants as well, So you know, people can step out and protest and say, we don't like this policy, you have to change it. But for now, the politics is in the vice grip.
Can you hear me? I think you've also, what should we call you, frozen. Can you hear me? Can everybody else hear me? If you can hear me, can you wave? You can hear me. Okay. I think there's something.
Corruption. Okay. If you don't have all the billions of dollars, you can't even win a councillorship in this country. What's the talk of winning the president?
I missed a lot of what you said, and I think a lot of us missed a lot of what you said because of your network. And you've also gone a little bit off Instagram. Do you want to repeat the closing parts of what you said so that we can pick up from there?
Yes. Okay. I'm coming back on now. I have to change. So So I was saying that I've actually, yes, yes, I know. I'm saying that I'm actually a bit disillusioned about the politics of Nigeria, and I don't see how the young people of this country can, make a headway, given the amount of money you need to run politics in Nigeria. Chicken and egg, which one came first? Did did the politicians over time, uh, you know, deprive the people of the good things of life so that they can be at this present stage, where they will sell their birthright for the next 4 years or 8 years for 4,000 naira or 2,000 naira, or which one happened first, or is it innate to Nigerians to not be able to think forward to know what is right? So I for now I'm disillusioned about the politics of this country. I don't think that party politicking can work for us in the short run. I don't know that young guy with all the ideas in the world who will come in and displace these people. In fact, yesterday someone called me and was asking me, or 2 days ago, about the fate of women in politics and how come they've lost out so much, especially in this regime. Of course, what happened was in 2015, we just find a scenario where middle-aged to old men especially in their 60s who have been in government forever, whether as senators or former governors, they just came and elbowed everybody out. And so even the gains that the women and the youth had made, even under Jonathan, whom we complain so much about, has been eroded. If you went to the Senate, you probably will not find more than 5 or 6 women in the Senate, and in the House of Reps is equally as bad. So I'm quite disillusioned about that. I think perhaps a culture of protest may help, a culture of protest whereby whoever gets into government must get the feedback, no matter what, from the people, and that feedback is what will set them right.
So who is going to lead this culture of protest? And without this culture of protest, from your own perspective, there's no hope. We're going to sit down, we're going to twiddle our thumbs, and we're going to just pray for that day where God will send us a Moses. The people were helpless, and we have been held by the neck by this particular political class that you are describing, who has elbowed everybody out. And they have taken siege and laid hostage of the leadership, the politics, and the management of Nigeria. So are you saying that there's no hope, there's nothing we can do? We're just going to sit down and watch our economy depreciate and the naira slide, and 12 million children out of school, illiterates, armed robbers in the making, and so on and so forth. Absolutely no hope. I can't hear you. I can't hear him. Tope, you've muted yourself, I think. You've muted yourself. Can you unmute yourself? Okay,
Done,
thank
done, done, done. Yeah, I came back. I was mute when I came back. All right. But basically, I'm just trying to imagine how it will happen. Okay, I'm trying to imagine how it will happen. What kind of firebrand young person that will come up with that will be able to displace the kind of financial firepower that runs politics in Nigeria. Like Aisha Osori wrote, love does not win elections, not in Nigeria. All right. So because again, which one started first? The people are broke. Okay, everything is increasing on them right now. Inflation is skyrocketing and all that. Where do they start from? So the guy that shows, they'll tell you, oh, this guy is not a nice person because he doesn't spend for us. But the guy that spends for them, they don't care where he gets the money from. Where do we start the education? And in fact, that is the strongest case, if you ask me, for having many political parties in the country. Because among these political parties, were a few of them who used to say and had a few ideas that, so because the kind of mass education you need, where is it going to come from? Any sitting government will not be interested in giving people that kind of mass education. Any sitting government will not give them. So this education has to come from somewhere. And not only education, it's just to be education and some sort of uplifting financially for the people. So as a matter of fact, if you look at Plato and Aristotle, these guys never liked democracy because they stated clearly that democracy could only work in a country where people had food to eat, where people were comfortable. They never liked democracy. And this is what we've gone to buy, hook, line, and sinker. And the concept of running elections every 4 years, wasting so much money. And then even look at what happened to us younger political parties. You register a party, they run elections in 3 months, and then you judge them in that 3 months and say, well, they didn't win a social election. In fact, they didn't even bother waiting for us to engage in all of the elections. What happened, like Ondo State and Edo is going to run. So it's like a case of the INEC is you're supervising a league, and there are 90-something parties or 90-something teams in the league. They need to play 37 games each. They play 35 or 34 games, and then you call it, and then you relegate some, and even say you should delete them from the surface of the earth. That's the kind of thing we see in Nigeria, because again, the umpire is in the pocket of whoever is who's appointing them. Everything is about who appoints them, and you're there on behalf of those people. So the umpire is always, the people who work there are split between the APC and PDP, because those are the people that are appointed. Oh, you're going to appoint people that are loyal to you, unfortunately. So you've already rigged the election from the beginning. That's part of the things I wrote to them in the National Assembly. They need to look at the laws. I don't know how to do it, but they need to look at the laws. In fact, when Yaradua won in 2007, he set up the Waste Commission. And one of the things they said was, look, they needed to dislink the leadership of INEC from the presidency. At least give us a semblance. And so those gentlemen and ladies said, maybe the leadership of INEC should be appointed by the NJC, National Judicial Council, and throw up a few names, and then let the NJC or whatever vote for them. You may be, because of course, even before you become a judge. The other day I was in somewhere, and someone said that 70% of the people who were appointed into the High Court in Abuja as judges were children of senators, children of this big man, children of that. So from that, even from being appointed into the High Court, then before you make it to Supreme Court, you must also have people who you are loyal to. So that loyalty to fiefdoms and loyalty to some sort of cult personalities is a problem that we have today, because if you are not loyal in that way, you are not likely to get far in anything in this country. And that's what needs to be changed. So I said that perhaps, having given up, on my generation, I'm sorry, I don't see what they can do. I think we've lost it. Perhaps children, this Generation Z, we should begin to raise them to, in a different way, not to give up on their country. So Generation Z are those born 1995 to date. They are the ones that will have to live in this new normal. Okay. They need to take over their country. We need to begin to give them ideas to speak up, because they are the ones that can understand what issues will be in that time. When AI and the Internet of Things and machine learning, all of those things begin to run our lives like it is already, those are the ones that can respond. These old men of 70, 80 years old cannot know what time it is. So you'll be using analog ideas to run a digital economy. Our problems are digital already. So we're used to using analog thinking to try and solve the problem. It will never work. And I say this also to people who believe that, let's just go back to regionalism. You're thinking with 1950s thoughts and 1950s brain. You're not listening because you think that those were the halcyon days when everything was great. It wasn't. Let's think about it. The point was which is another way of answering your earlier question, Pastor Itwa, as in what exactly was the problem. The ability to envision in a very deep way was just not there. Only a few people had it. Maybe an Awolowo to an extent, you know. But all those guys were brilliant, I must tell you. You know, Tafawa Balewa, brilliant. Sadana, brilliant. Azikiwe was a legend. But afterwards, what we've seen is a dilution of leadership in this country. It's absolute nonsense. But it's a self-enforcing kind of scenario, a vicious cycle that what's going to break it because they have it. It's about power, it's about money. They have us by the jugular, and it's a vice grip. I don't know how we're going to free ourselves from it. So maybe these children of 1995, 25 years and below, we should begin to tell them, okay, we should begin to prop them up and say, guys, how are you thinking for this country? Regionalism won't work. Where do you start the region? Where do you end it? Oh, Western region. Remember the story of Midwest. Are you going to put Benin and Delta up to Shakiri under Western region? Then you split it. You realize that when this country gets split, it's not going to stop. Yesterday, part of what the propositions to the Senate on the constitutional amendment, 18 new states with prospect of 50 more. Okay, 18 new states, and of course, the whole idea is every tribe wants to be a country or a state on their own. Every tribe wants to be a state on their own. Okay, you're just going to end up buying more jeeps for the governor, appointing more commissioners, creating more houses of assembly where people do almost nothing. And we're saying that we don't have the resources. We don't have the resources on ground for all those frivolities that we've been engaged in. At what point are we going to move away from it and really get serious about it? It's a naira and kobo thing. I'm also a chartered accountant, I think, like you, sir. So, it's a matter of naira and kobo. The money is just not there. Nobody does that. Abroad, the white people, they will never tell you the truth, but in their head, they're thinking, man, these people, they must be crazy. How can you guys be spending money like this? And then you still come and borrow money, okay? You still come and borrow money from the world. It's never going to work. I have a story about when Nigeria was trying to get debt forgiveness, and this was told to me by one of the directors who used to go there with them somewhere in Switzerland from Nigeria, and they will get to Switzerland and they will lodge in some of the best hotels. They can stay at the Marriott's or something. If they went to New York, they stay at the Waldorf Astoria. And they were living large. And then they would come to the meeting dressed in Barbariga, driven by a limousine. This was before they got the for us in 2006. And then those meetings, and at the end of the day, you're saying, in fact, they say, how was your night? Or how was your evening? So in fact, the jacuzzi at the Marriott was wonderful. I had a good time. In fact, the champagne was something else. Until one of them had to say, you guys are not going to get any results, showing up this way with your with Big Babariga and Co. Because some of the guys you're talking to who are going to give you this debt cancellation, they came to work on a bicycle. Some of them, they skated to work from the station, from the underground station. Some of them took a walk. And then here you are. So our sense of direction is funny, unfortunately. So people think that, and that's why you see people like Dino, displaying so much wealth and so on. What's that? I don't know. Maybe we need to learn how to live. Perhaps. So I put the blame on everybody for where this country is. I wouldn't absolve myself, I might also do better. But I've tried by staking the little I have on this country and, knowing that, of course, it was going to go, but I needed a voice. And part of that voice is what I'm leveraging today, being on your program, Pastor, and, at least saying the little that that I know. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Tope. Thank you for I can feel your heart, I can feel your pain, I can feel your passion, and so on and so forth. I have a few questions to ask you, and then maybe we'll take a few questions from those who are on the platform and see what they have to ask you. And then we begin to wind down bit by bit. Number one, what are your plans politically for the future? What do you plan to do? And so on and so forth. Number two, are you saying that 12 of you gathered with Obi Ezekwesili and so on and so forth, and you all could not honestly among yourselves assess which one of you stood the best chance of winning the presidential elections or running a good race, or at the very worst, which one of you probably had the best qualities to give the kind of leadership that Nigeria needed? And if you all then combined your 40 million naira, maybe Obi's 20 or 30 million, maybe Mogalu's 100 million, maybe Fela's 20 or 60 million together with one person as the front runner, could we not have made a slightly better impact? Or all of you running together as a team and saying, this is our person, but we're running together as a team. I think along that line, there was a certain Nigerian, I won't mention his name, who was hoping that that coalition could work, and he was ready to help fund or raise some kind of considerable money for that coalition, because I was working slightly, asking questions here and there, and somebody had approached me and said, what did I think of that idea? And I said, if you guys would come up with one person. I had spoken to a gentleman who was concerned and was ready to put some money down for that one person. So I was one of the people that was very, very disappointed when that coalition fell apart, okay? Because I thought that Nigeria needed a third leg and another option. And then finally, what has happened to ANRP? Has it been delisted? And are you trying to get it back on track, and so on and so forth? I think if you can answer for me these three questions, then we can look, well, I think you've touched on it here and there, how economy is affected by politics and politics affects economy. I think we all know that to some extent. The issue is, how do we get out of this quagmire that we find when we are limited almost by choice? 2023 is coming. PDP will come. They'll give us whoever they like as a candidate. APC will come. They'll give us whoever they like as a candidate. Tell us again that the person has 10 million votes or 12 million votes, whether real or genuine, we do not know, and that we have no choice. We just have to choose between these two candidates, and the rest of us will fold our hand and say, well, this is the choice we have. This, anyway, what do we do? Somebody calls them, well, don't let me mention any names, but this is, we don't have any choice. I mean, we have no choice in who emerges as a leader or presidential candidate in either of these two parties. So we're being forced all the time into a position of almost powerlessness by 200 million people. Each one of those 200 million people, at least 140 of them, minus the children, has a vote, has a voice, can say yes or can say no. A lot of them are being persuaded by meals of 2,000, 3,000, 5,000 naira. Are we going to continue like this? Tope, over to you. 3 questions. Number 1, what are your plans? Number 2, how come 12 of you couldn't select one person? You know? And then number 3, what has happened to your party, ANMP, and are you going to work at bringing up this party again? And perhaps number 3.5 or number 4, are we powerless in Nigeria? Are we just going to wait?
Yeah, I'll take it. Yes, I'll take it
See what the economics of politics has done to your network. Honestly, for me, where we have found ourselves in Nigeria, ladies and gentlemen, is most unfair. And honestly, for you listening out there, we can't continue like this. We really cannot. And I don't like this feeling of powerlessness by everybody, helplessness by everybody. I think if all of us did a little something across Nigeria, wherever we are, the little something that we all do, if it is to walk up and down our streets and persuade our people that what we need in Nigeria is a serious and good leader who knows what he's doing and who is passionate about this country. If every one of us took a street and said, this street is our own, we must persuade people that we need a competent person and we must look for that person, I think you would have done something. And it's not going to cost you a lot of money. And neither will it take too much of your time. If you can choose to do it Saturdays between now and 2023, talk to people. They don't need to agree with you. They don't need to believe you. But we pastors believe in sowing a seed. You sow a seed. The man will begin to think. What we need is a system that can throw up for us a selfless, serious, passionate, visionary, and committed leader. That's what we need. We need that. And we must try to work for it. You know, even though God had chosen Saul, a lot of people don't know, for those who read the Bible, there was still an election process. People went and voted for Saul. Okay, you can say, well, maybe God put it on their minds and rigged the elections, but there was a process. Even though God had anointed David, there was still a process that brought David out. And if the people hadn't gathered together to make him king, he wouldn't have been king. God is not going to come down from heaven and say, this is Tope Fasua, is my anointed candidate. We all still have to put in some kind of effort in this matter. And the problem with Nigerians, as I see today, is that nobody's ready to put in effort. They are not ready. You want to continue to mind your business. You want to continue to mind your own sheep. You want to continue to work your own job and things. People in Nigeria are talking of second passports. Rich men. I know a man who paid almost $1 million to get another citizenship for himself and his children because he doesn't know where Nigeria is going. This is a wealthy man who has great investments in this country. And still, he's spending $1 million to get citizenship of a country he's never been before, just in case Nigeria blows up. Are we going to continue like this? Where's Nigeria blowing up to? A country that's overblessed? We can't. We must speak to ourselves. And everybody, like Tope says, must get a skin in the game. Anyway, Tope, I don't know if you are on now and if we can hear you. We want to hear from you. The show is yours. Don't let me take it over. I want to hear from you what you are planning to do because I'm not going to let you off. You are not going to give up and get so disillusioned. We must fight back. We must. It's like the bully in the class. You know, in every class, there's a bully, and everybody's afraid of the bully until one day, the David or the smallest rat in the class, suddenly out of frustration, challenges the bully, and you find that he's just a shadow. And we're being bullied in Nigeria, quite frankly, as far as I'm concerned. And we're accepting being bullied. We can't continue like this, as far as I'm concerned. We cannot. Nigeria is too precious for us to just allow 60 years after independence to just drill and derail. No, no way. Tope, what are your thoughts? Do you want to unmute yourself? I don't know if you've muted yourself. Yes, you need to unmute yourself, at least on Zoom. Technical in the background, please check that he's able to unmute himself. Go ahead, Tope. I think you're muted now.
Thoughts on our own, and well, we're trying to make it different because we're not just begging to be reinstated as a political party. We are saying that the process that by which that happened itself is faulty. Also asking for damages from. That's what we're doing. We're the only party that's asking for damages from INEC because we see the license that we're given as a contract. And if that contract or that license is not useless, and you make them to begin to borrow money or use their own money to set up structures politically, that has to have consequence. There has to be consequences to that. You don't just wake up and through a roughshod arrangement, you jack off, you remove that license. We think that they should be taught a lesson to that extent. We're suing them. We sue them for about 2 billion actually. We don't know what the costs are going to say on that. And then also, what are my plans politically? I won't deceive you, Pastor. Sit down, look. I'm in sit down, look mode. Look, if all we have are the same old from PDP and APC come 2023, I will not vote. I will not vote. That's the truth. I'll be in my house. I'm back to that point because I think I've seen it all, been there, done that. I don't have any intention to keep running for election. I mean, where will I even find the money? Those who have spent the little money that they have are there licking their wounds right now. We didn't know there was somebody who was going to sponsor people, but which goes to the third question. And so now I must say that it's a socio-psychological question because everybody in that pact and even beyond had their own strength. And everybody almost had their own ideology. You could hear Shore saying, look, 100,000 minimum wage. You see that it's coming from somewhere on the far left. And Kingsley by orientation is somewhere on the right. I'm a bit of a center left person because my orientation in economics is not such as believes that everybody should be thrown under the bus of market forces. I've read enough to understand that, as they say, the so-called invisible hand is invisible. So one of the things I'm proposing for Nigeria is, look, we really need to go down to the grassroots and assist people there as a way of spurring growth for the country. When I sent a proposal to the Senate that, look, 40% of our federal allocation, whatever, should go to the local government, is because I believe that it is in those local government that the next growth for this country resides. And that's where people are suffering. That's where you need to spend on infrastructure and all that. So everybody came to that pact and all of that with their own strength. It was going to be incredibly difficult without an open process to just say, okay, look, okay, we're taking, if you took a Mogalu and Ishure was there and I was there, then you would be okay, you have taken maybe a liberal economist to go and represent me and I'm a socialist or whatever. Some people may feel that way. So that's why that transparent process was absolutely important. Now, also subterfuge in politics. Anyone that will go into politics must be ready for the subterfuge because, that is the currency that they spend in politics. Now, I wouldn't say that people should go there to play subterfuge, but you should be ready that at the tail end, somebody is going to do something crazy that takes you out, and they will have no apologies about it. So, coming together and agreeing is incredibly difficult. Incredibly difficult. We saw people like that coming out in this before the power of the internet. And a few of them were very strong on Instagram. They were strong on Twitter, and When we finished that election, people came to me, a few people who saw me on Twitter, and they said, hey, talk about you people will start coming together now. Don't wait until 2022. You now come and disturb us and say you want to listen. I asked them, I said, you too, they say you can't be president. You can be president. I'm in the vanguard of raising new people who will try. I can't try myself, not anymore, in my view, But I'm in the vanguard of raising young people who qualify constitutionally to run for every election in this country. But before you run, you have to be sure that you're not going to be the problem that you are saying that you want to solve. Because if it's about making money, you can only make money in politics by stealing. If you are looking to make money, insane amounts of money, stay in the private sector and make your money. Once you get into office, you become a public property, and you can only make money by gaming the system in order to get rich. And you can get very rich. But the point is, you would not even have anywhere to spend such monies. That's the scenario we see. So it's the first time we saw the option. It's incredibly difficult. Even in the party, you'll be shocked. In politics, I mean, you could gather people and say, let's talk about something intellectual. And somebody will come from a different, non-intellectual angle that will throw you off balance. And at the end of the day, you'll be fighting over inane issues. ANRP was one of the few parties where we were able to hold it together. There was no scandal about when money got lost. This guy ate the money and did that, and imposed himself on. No, because we tried to be very democratic and open, and it was about how much sacrifice that you could put down. And of course, we fielded a number of people, maybe up to 12 people ran for governor or more under ANRP, and a lot of people for House of Assembly, a lot of people for House of Reps. It was our first time, and unfortunately, these guys in INEC felt it was a time to call it a day. Right? But they're just working for status quo, unfortunately. As a matter of fact, look at the debates that we attended. The big debates organized by China was only attended by 2 people. Because this time around, they decided to build it around APC and PDP. And then, just, okay, let Fela, Kingsley, and Obi join, just to look like. In Jonathan's time in 2015, 11 people were in that debate. They ran it twice, 6 the first time, 5 the second time. So that's how you measure the transparency and who is even ready to live and let live. These guys here right now are not ready to live and let live. This is scorched earth politics, and anybody that gets caught up in it is not going to find this.
Well, I don't know. It's a bit painful to me because you see what we're saying in Nigeria today is that we are not aware that we all have, first of all, a common enemy. Now, this is now the real battle for Nigeria's independence. The first one was a battle for decolonization. This one now is a battle for personal and national independence because we're still a little bit neo-colonized and to some extent having new colonial masters where the average Nigerian simply does not have a voice. So if the Bolshevik Revolution could take place, if the French could revolt against the monarchy and so on and so forth, so that France became a true republic, Nigerians don't realize that we now need to come against a system that is refusing to liberate and give quality life to Nigerians. So for now, it's not really the question of running for office, it's the question of eliminating a system. And whatever we need to do together as right-thinking people to push out a system that has given you a faulty constitution, a system that has given you governance that is not really providing for the people, a system that is trying to perpetuate and enthrone corruption and make corruption a way of life, a system that has no regard for education of the average Nigerian child that actually thinks that the Nigerian child should continually be ignorant and uneducated and consequently poor. A system that even allows a bit of insecurity, Boko Haram and all those things, because some kingpins of that system are profiting from the wasting of lives of people, okay? And we don't realize that that is what we are up against. And we're still sort of dilly-dallying about which finger is longest amongst us. Then we're going to find out very soon we don't even have a hand, because when they come for you, there will be nobody to defend you. So my appeal to Nigerians is that we should come together to face a system where a man can be taken from his house in broad daylight and led into an area and surrounded by 12 men, and they cut off his neck and nothing happens. Or a woman is paraded on the streets in broad daylight and somebody cuts off her neck and nothing happens. Not even one call for a manhunt, whether real or imagined. This person is wanted. Nobody even said that we're looking for 12 men who beheaded one man in broad daylight. Nobody, nothing happened. The people walked away. For how long are we going to continue like that? Nigerians should learn that we need to come together and wake up and smell this coffee and know that we're fighting an enthroned system that is making life unbearable for everybody. And therefore, there must be a collective decision to push out that system. So if it is Showore that we all say, okay, well, Showore, you are not the best of us, but let's all work together first and push away a system. Then we can decide who will take over from Showore next once we have agreed to push away that system. That's what we must do. We can't continue like this. Honestly, I keep saying it. And we need to all wake up and talk to ourselves. It was that unity that pushed away the so-called white colonial masters. But they left behind a system, and we're refusing to push away that system. And it's like the animal farm. They left behind a system, and some people who took hold of that system are keeping that system and perpetuating themselves. So we must push out those people, push out that system, and create a new one. So this is why I say, for me, this is a new battle for independence of the average Nigerian mind. If we're going to be training the young ones, how many of us are going to train them? How many of them are even here? 3/4 of them are gone abroad. And the rest that you are trying to train are just waiting for a season to jump on a boat to go abroad. I know a fellow, an ex-governor's houseboy who left Benin and spent 18 months walking through the desert to get to Spain, drinking his own urine, surviving on urine. 12 of them left for that journey. I think 3 of them got to Spain and only to be repatriated back to Nigeria. 18 months. They lived on urine. Urine was the most precious thing that they could have. So when you wee at night, you put it in a bottle, you hold your bottle and wait for anybody to come near you. When you wake up in the morning, you drink your own urine and continue the trek. What kind of a life is that in this country, where people from some parts of Nigeria export their girls, willingly export their girls, to go abroad to prostitute so that they can send $100, 100 lira, whatever they call that currency, so that the old people in the village and in the city can feed. and they know those girls are going to prostitute. So what are you saying? A system that now enthrones prostitution, that now makes it right and legal for young people to go and prostitute. A gentleman called Apostle Zeno is raising up his hands. He wants to make one or two comments. So I don't know if you can quickly unmute him to just say something for 1 minute. And I believe he probably has a question for you. Apostle Zeno, please.
Okay, good evening, Pastor Itwa. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I just wanted to add a few things, like my view on this. First of all, we must all believe in Nigeria. Nigeria is the only country we have. We have no other country. We must believe in Nigeria. Thank you for what you're doing. It takes the fear of God and high level of discipline or integrity for you, for most of us talking, to stay morally upright. When you are exposed or when we get to the office, is something that we need to have a reorientation of our minds of who we are as a people in Nigeria. We must disconnect the root and destroy the fruit. Visit the cause, as in the real cause of the problem, and see how we can doggedly sort out the solution. It involves so much from us. So it's just a call that we must all believe in this Nigeria. In our little bit, like you've been emphasizing all the while, in our little bit, we must do our little bit. Just my 2 kobo or 2 cents, as it were, is just a little contribution. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Apostle. Tope, I don't know if you have any comments to what Zeno has said, and I know Zeno very well. God bless you. Good to see you on the platform. And a little bit of what I said, I don't know if you have any comments. And if there's anybody else that wants to chip in a quick comment or a question, you can quickly raise up your hands. We're not going to be able to call everybody. We are running out of time, but we'll see how we can call 2, 3, 4 people, and then we'll have to wrap up this session. So just raise up your hands. The technical people will see your hands, and I will call you. Tope, please go ahead. In 30 seconds, maybe you have a response to that.
1 minute, yeah, let's. Yes, response is, it's very important that we be able to, everybody steps up. Look, from an economic statistical perspective, the more the number of people who are striving to be heard, the higher the chances of finding a solution. I always say that the solution is probably going to come from an unexpected place, from an unexpected person. That's why I don't belittle anyone in this issue. So the more people, we have to continue encouraging people to strive, even beyond taking care of your environment or making impact in your environment. It's great. However, the big question of leadership in Nigeria, how do we break it, like Pastor Itwa said? How do we break this vicious cycle? All right. So the more people that try, the better for everybody. And again, Pastor Itwa, you mentioned something about which went in the direction of we mentioned France, the French Revolution, the Bolshevik Revolution.
You're breaking. You're breaking. Maybe while we're waiting for Tope, there's a gentleman called Richard Name. Okay, Richard Name wants to talk. Richard Ilome, let's have your comments very quickly.
Sure, Pastor, thank you, and Tope, thanks for sharing your viewpoints. I seem to kind of believe that a lot of the young people and even just general people in Nigeria, we're dealing with a situation where people are struggling to just meet their basic needs. And one way to break that chain and not be enslaved by leaders who take advantage of that situation is to create new opportunities for them. So I believe strongly that I see it all the time, and I'm based in Texas, and I use services online from freelance professionals all over the world, Upwork, TopTal, Fiverr, and the people in Bangladesh, Morocco, and the other places making money or making a living from actually providing their professional services to clients all over the world. And so a lot of our youths are missing from that opportunity in Nigeria. And it doesn't take much to learn video graphic skills, simple skills for social media marketing and all that stuff that could earn them a living. And that could alleviate the situation of a lot of the unemployed youths to start with. And once people start making money and not waiting for government to give them jobs or not waiting for employment, that already keeps them a little bit more makes them more of an independent thinker. So that's one point I think that we can handle and do quickly in Nigeria. But the infrastructure, if Tope at his level is struggling with internet infrastructure, then we are doomed. If that's the best kind of infrastructure we have, then we have a problem. So that infrastructure needs to be worked on so that they can integrate with the rest of the global community. I have an office in Lagos, in Lekki, where I have, for my business in Texas, I have a small team of people that support my business here. So they make a living from working remotely from Nigeria, and it's a decent living for most of the young people there. So these things can work. Some of us have tried it. We know it works. I only imagine expanding that opportunity to 10,000, 20,000, 50,000 more Nigerian youths. And so that's my own contribution in terms of how we can move things a little forward.
Thank you very much, Richard. That's very useful. And I hope a lot of people on the platform are listening. He's talking about empowerment of the average Nigerian in little silos and see how we can do that. There's also a lady called Mrs. Esohe Moloku. Let's hear Esohe, please, very quickly. 1 minute.
Okay. Good evening, Pastor Itua. And thank you so much for the, what's his name again? The guy who has been talking with us.
Tope Fasua.
Okay, Tope. I'm very, very impressed with what you are giving out, but I am also scared because you have almost given up hope on this country. We have young people who want to leave this country. We must not allow it to happen. I worked with the UN, and in 2003, we raised a database of female political participants. We taught them how to talk, how to walk, how to present themselves, but they had a great challenge. Their challenge was this: they were not men. And politics in Nigeria is a man's job. But if we go back in history, we find that the women were the people who actually led politics in Nigeria. But right now, it has all faded off into, I don't know what space it is right now. What I can say is that women need to be involved in politics right now. It is important for them to recognize that you don't need a godfather, because this was their problem in 2006, 2003, 2007, down the line. If you don't have a rich godfather, you don't make it in politics as a woman. That has to stop. Women need to be recognized for what they can bring, not just to the party, but to the country. And without this being recognized, I'm afraid we'll just have to sit in the other room. Thank you.
So if you're in Nigeria, please let's try and meet and let's see how we can advance this discussion a little bit further. But the truth of the matter, you can text us your number or something and we can get in touch. The truth of the matter really is that it's going to be a bit of a fight. Even young Nigerians are having to fight for their space because of the amount of money that politics requires right now. And we really must all work together to try and change this narrative. There's a gentleman called Sonny Enebi, who would like to speak. And then I'm also going to invite a gentleman called Dr. Alaba Fawole. I'm going to ask him to say a few things right now. So Sonny Enebi, what would you like to say very quickly, Sonny? Please unmute Sonny. And then after that, you unmute Dr. Alaba-Fawole to say a few things.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Pastor, for the opportunity. Tope, I recognize and I appreciate the passion with which you have spoken. I just want to speak to Tope, and my own view is you led a political party, and I dare say I was also a member of that force. We can't give up on the country now. That's why Toitua is building this platform. It's not a political party, but it's like a movement where we canalize ideas. And I think there's a lot we can do as either young people or middle-aged people to advance what we believe to be the next stage. In 2019, a lot of us came out and contested, thought you did, but it didn't quite work out as we thought. So we must re-strategize. We must not only look at the short term of 2023, but look at a longer term. That's why I agree with the idea of trying to build up youth. And that's what the African Leadership Group is trying to do. I invite you, you already have a platform and people, you can come on board, look at what we are doing, and try to see how we can fuse it together. There is always an opportunity to build something and take it to the next level. You come with a lot of experience, having been in the race and all that you saw there. So it will guide a lot of what we are doing. And that also, I think, goes out to everybody on the platform. Let's come together. Some deep thinking can produce the next line of action. We cannot afford to give up on this country as it were, unless we are no longer breathing. So we'll continue to run. Thank you, Pastor. That's all I want to say.
Okay, thank you very much, Sonny. We have pasted the link if you want to join, or if you want to be part of what we're trying to do, or if you want to make some contributions. There's a link in the chat room. You can go through the link and you can register. We'd also like you to invite as many like-minded people as possible so that we can all talk together and see how we can come up with plans and strategies to try and face this next level of independence of the average Nigerian. Dr. Alaba-Fawole, please. Can you please?
Yes. Good afternoon or good evening. Greetings from Atlanta, Georgia. I appreciate this platform, and I want to thank you very much, Itwa. What I think is a major problem that we've been facing here is that we are not able to work in collaboration, and that has been the bane of our society in Nigeria, which I have been kind of talking about even amongst my own group of influence and group of friends. Individually, we like to be successful, and we work so hard to be successful, and that's why we have Nigerians that are doing phenomenally individually in their own little myopic circles. But when it comes to coming together as a force so that we can make our country good, we are lacking in that. And that is probably what happened, why those 12 gentlemen could not really pick out one that could lead them. And for as long as we only think about ourselves, for as long as we are only thinking about the success of individual, like we always do, we are not going to get anywhere. When we talk about restructuring, I think what we all need to start doing first is to restructure our mind and allow God to transform us as individuals. In fact, when we talk about restructuring, I'm thinking that we will do better if we restructure. But I want to bet you that if individually we do not change our mindset, we are only going to get into deeper problems, even when we go back into the regional structuring. So individually, we must now start thinking about collective success as a nation. We must awaken our patriotism so that we love our country, we love our country, our fellow countrymen, if we are only thinking about ourselves and our own family, we are never going to get anywhere. So I want to thank you very much. And for those of us who still believe so much in this Nigeria project, we cannot give up. So for Tope, Fasua, please don't give up. We all have to do this together. There are quite a number of people like you, and I don't want you to think that you are in the wilderness. We will get it right. And Pastor Itua, thank you very much for this platform. This is all we do, and we have some of us are actually outside of the country as fugitives. In fact, I tell people all the time, there is no life that we are enjoying here. We're economic fugitives. And as soon as we see things go right, and as soon as all our efforts that we're also putting into this, as we begin to see an opening, you can be sure that some of us are just waiting to come back home. So we can't wait. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you, Dr. Faole. I know Dr. Faole very, very well. He has 2 degrees. He's a medical doctor and he's also a dentist. And for that kind of resource and talent to be generating income and wealth and prosperity for America is a bit unfortunate. I know he comes to Nigeria maybe 2-3 times a year to do medical missions at his own expense and so on and so forth. But the basis or the essence of his being for almost the past 30-35 years has been developing the American economy. And you cannot quantify the amount of money he has generated for America. Okay, made a few for himself, no doubt. But the issue is that this is pure brain drain, and he's even described himself as a fugitive. You can imagine the pain that he's going through and the amount of Nigerians that are out there. I took my wife for medical treatment a few years ago in Harley Street, the richest medical district in the UK. And the doctor that attended to me was Emeka something, who trained in Nsukka. It was a post a few days ago in one of the papers where the emergency unit of a hospital in London was being manned by 5 Nigerians. And it's the same story all over the place. All that brain power that can develop the Nigerian economy and give us these double digits that Tope was talking about is out there. And what Dr. Faole has said is very, very germane. He trained in University of Ife, by the way. It's not as though he at least he got the first of his degrees from University of Ife and got the second from between US and the West Indies. What he said is that we need to change our thinking, collaboration rather than unitization is what is actually messing Nigeria up. I was speaking to an Igbo friend of mine today, and I was asking him, what are the Igbos doing? Why can't they come together to build together collectively? Then he turned to me and says, what are the Yoruba people doing also? Why can't the Yoruba people come together and unite and think together and so on and so forth? Why are people or everybody working in one silo or the other and so on and so forth? Even in Christianity, in the church, among our Christian leaders, there's this great division and disparity, empire building. My church is bigger and better than your own. My denomination is the right one and yours is not quite okay, and blah, blah, blah. But you know, Jesus Christ is Lord. And we keep preaching about this Jesus, wanting to be about Jesus, but we live in silos and fractions. And I'm going to put a gentleman on the spot, Reverend Felix Medwoye, the former General Overseer of Foursquare. Here is on the platform. So I'm going to ask them from the back room to unmute him and hear if he has 1 or 2 comments to share from his wealth of experience. And then we go back to Tope to give us his closing words, and we will close. Reverend Felix, please, if you are ready to contribute to this platform.
Wow. Thank you very much. This is my first time coming on the platform. I've been trying to be with you in the last 2, but missed it each time. I think this is very good. I've listened to both the guest speaker, my brother, pastor, and other comments made by people. I think one thing that is germane in this whole discussion that I see is that this country belongs to us. There must be just one country that belongs to us. And for each one of us, including myself, it is Nigeria. As I first talk about prayer, and that we have been doing for this country. But I also agree very much, especially with the last speaker, that the idea of individual working on his own silos, as you use the word, I think is a major problem. And I think that whatever we can do, whatever discussion we can have, that we allow people to really begin to think of Nigeria as our own, that we belong to one nation and we want to do everything to see ourselves come out of the present predicament of this country, coming out of the wood, because the problems are really enormous. And I think we just need to really begin to think and formulate ideas in that direction to really bring us together. Because I see some of the major problem of this country, apart from the individuals wanting to do things on their own, have by the regions, you know, the dichotomy in our ideology to life is so much, the difference is so much. The North, some people will have power and poverty. What will you say of the South? The Southeast and the South to be, I mean, the ideology life to live seems to be so deep unless we begin to find a way to bring us together. And the man in the North will not just think of Nigeria from the side of wanting to get the best for the North in labor, for Nigeria as a whole. I think we may be finding it very difficult to really move as much as we will have God do for us. To say that let us begin to think with this kind of platform we have, everything we can do to begin to harmonize our ideology. I mean, the people, I believe politics is to serve the people, and where that is on the way, on that disturbs the movement of ideas and government for the benefit of the people, we must find a way to get it out of the way. Well, for now, maybe in subsequent time, I have some more things to say, but for now, I say, let us pray. Let us also think of how we can, our ideas about how the league will help govern the people that they are set up to really govern with the fear of God. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Reverend. And I'm going to be asking for an appointment to meet with you so that you and I can discuss a bit further on a one-on-one basis. So please expect my call, or if you don't mind, my assistant will call your assistant or call you to set up an appointment as soon as we can. I was going to close the platform, but I hear that my brother, my Egbo, is on the platform, and I'm not going to let him get away without saying something. He's been in the leadership fray for Nigeria, former chairman of the Nigerian Economic Summit Group, a group that's in a little bit in the eye of the storm right now, where my brother Fasua is chair. Can I please ask Mr. Folusho Phillips to make a comment or two, and then we really need to shut down so that people can go and do a few other things. Can you please unmute Mr. Folusho Phillips, the chairman, Phillips Consulting, and one of the leading leadership consultants in Nigeria today. Please unmute Mr. Phillips. Thank you.
Hi, Itwa. I was hoping you wouldn't do this.
I'm sorry. Some prayers God doesn't answer.
Let me first of all congratulate you on this because I think we really need to have a platform where we have these discussions. You know, once somebody told me when I was being interviewed as the head of the Economic Summit Group, he said, all you guys do is just talk. And I replied, I said, thank God we haven't stopped talking, because we have to keep layering things. You know, I think it was at Peter's side. I was listening to a little clip on his sort of speech, I think it was yesterday, about him being co-chair for this new economic framework that the country is trying to put in place. And he said it's the last straw that breaks the camel's back. And the comment was that this is another visioning exercise. How many visioning exercises are we going to have? And his point was that, look, if this is one that's going to break the camel's back, the camel being Nigeria's inability to do things, he said, then we're going to have to do something else, and we'll do more until we break the back of this negativity that's going in the country and that's stopping us from doing the things that we need to do. You know, I'm actually sitting here, and I must confess, I'm actually at the dinner table, and I was talking to the family, and I said, I feel very frustrated. I say, what is it that we must do? We think a lot about these things. We've tried so many different options. And at the end of the day, it comes back down to the essence of what you're all discussing about the basic individual, the basic human being. Again, I remember being interviewed once again. They said, oh, how can we stop corruption? And I said, people should just stop stealing. And I think the person who was interviewing me felt a bit disappointed because he wanted me to come up with all kinds of policies and actions and EFCC and so on. I said, people should just stop stealing and do the right thing. So we have to begin to appeal to our own conscience. It's about who we are individually, about how we can influence those around us to do the right thing, about us being our brother's keeper in the sense that, look, if I have to tell you for misbehaving, let's do it. Let's sort of have a kind of a conscience that it is proper, it is right and proper to do the right thing. There's no other solution. You know, if you say people are stealing, how do we resolve it? Okay, we flog them, we lock them up. The people that are supposed to lock them up are they themselves in the whole game, and we all get extremely frustrated. So for me, the pathway is, they said, you know, one victory at a time. And if the victory is going to start off with the victory of the mind, victory of commitment to individuals, victory of getting people with like minds, because don't forget the thousands and millions of people in Nigeria that are looking forward to this core group of those people that will lead them. They accept the fact that they've got to be led. You know, the man down the bottom of the hierarchy of society knows that he's got to depend on people that are going to lead the system. But if those who are leading are failing, then we have to come together and see how we can play a part in that leadership. It's a very, very tough one. Nigeria is a huge country. You know, Tope is attempted to sort of say, let's go into this game of presidency. For me, it's a huge, huge game. To be president of Nigeria is a major, major deal. It's a huge country. But the point is, we've got to try and see how we take it one step at a time. You know, and I think, as you said, we've got to see, are we going to participate more at the local level? Are we going to participate more at the state level? I believe in subnationals, because I believe when we're looking at the whole country, there are too many variables. So let's start with our region, our states, or whatever it is, where we can be more influential. There's no such thing as Nigeria. What we have is 36 states and one federal capital territory. And it's where things happen. If you're talking about GDP, people have asked me, what is the GDP? And I say, which state or region are you talking about in terms of GDP? So we're very regional, and I'm more for this subnational development where we can sort of bite what we can chew, as opposed to looking at the whole national frame, where financing our activities is much more difficult, where getting support is a lot more difficult, where you're transgressing regional, tribal, religious boundaries. So I think we need to start in our own little corner and begin to build up more and more. So, you know, it's a very frustrating thing, and I can feel everybody's frustration. We don't seem to have a clear solution, but we just have to keep at it. We've got to try and keep on piling the straw until we find the one that finally breaks the camel's back. Thank you.
Thank you very much, my dear brother, Egbon. Thank you for your contributions, always clear, crisp, and erudite as usual. And we will find that straw by God's grace. And by God's grace, Nigeria truly will be great again. And we'll find a way by which we can push this nation forward. It's a big deal, but I think it's not insurmountable. I think it's doable. And I really want to thank everyone that has been on this platform. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for your contributions. Thank you for what I perceive to be your love for Nigeria and your interest in trying to make Nigeria work. Next week, we're going to be having a good friend of mine, I've known him since I was about 8 years old or 7 years old. Barrister Yemi Candid Johnson, S-A-N. Yemi Candid Johnson, yes, S-A-N. And he's going to be talking about this big elephant in the room, the Nigerian Constitution and politics. The Nigerian Constitution and politics, part of our political challenge, a lot of people are saying, and even Tope alluded to it today, is that the Constitution is not really we the people. It was a group of army generals that came together and gave us the Constitution that we have. So how is that affecting our politics? How is that affecting us as a people? What do we need to do about this Constitution? Is it important? Is it fundamental? Do we wave it aside? Do we rebuild it? Do we come together and agree on certain things? Do we have a national debate, a national conference, a constitutional conference, blah, blah, blah? These are the things that Yemi is going to look at. I'm going to leave us with a few quotes today, and one of them is by no other person than Chief Obafemi Awolowo, who wrote in 1961 and repeated in 1981, The Voice of Reason. Those of us placed in a position of leadership must be prepared to grasp the nettle if we unite in doing so. If we unite in doing so. And if in addition, we set a worthy example and mark on pace in probity, unselfishness, and self-sacrifice. It says people will follow all too readily in our footsteps. We walk on probity, unselfishness, self-sacrifice. I think those things are a little bit missing in the political and the lexion of some of our leaders today. Aldous Huxley says, it is in the social sphere, in the realm of politics and economics, that the will to order becomes really dangerous. It is in the political, social sphere, in this realm of politics and economics, that the will to order really becomes dangerous. And Chris Christie has this to say. He was looking for a job, or he was the New Jersey governor at a certain time. He says, I'm not looking to be loved in this job. I get plenty of love at home. And when you are looking for love in this job of being a governor, that's when the deficits get run up. We're looking for boldness. We're looking for courage. We're looking for determination. My brother Tope, thank you very, very much for, first of all, having the courage to run in the race of politics in Nigeria and spending so much of your own resource to try and make an impact. I'd want to encourage you that there must be something we can do. Felicia Phillips was saying maybe we should do it in little bits. There must be one or two other areas where we can make an influence and bring in some kind of good leadership into place, even from the councillorship, even from the local government, even from Senate, even from House of Rep, even from governor. Perhaps you can devote some of your resource also to ensuring that you put in place maybe a good councillor or a good local government chairman in some local government that he or she will begin to make a difference and begin to build from bottom up. It's something to consider, something to think about, so that we can all contribute in one way or the other. But my final question for you tonight is this: what is going to be your legacy? What do you want to be remembered by? What is going to be your contribution to life, living, and the development of the human being, either in Nigeria or any part of the world? What is going to be your legacy? Tope, over to you, and we begin to close. Please unmute Mr. Fasua today.
Great. Thank you very much for giving me this platform today. It's amazing, and the caliber of people we have from all over the world joining is just simply amazing. I just want to say we can borrow from Lee Kuan Yew. He had this philosophy, MPH, as told by Kishore Mahbubani. MPH, meritocracy, pragmatism, honesty. And I think it's a powerful driving force. If we ensure meritocracy in our system, it's just a system you can put in place that will also check you. A lot has been said about the things we can do, how we need to unite, how we need to wake up and have a change of mind. Sometimes I'm a bit skeptical. Nigerians will not wake up one day and have a change of mind. Something needs to check them. But we're hoping for a leadership that will be able to handle some of these things. Leading Nigeria, of course, is a death wish. Anybody that will move the needle on this country, you have to be ready to lay your life on the line. My legacy, by God's grace, if I could, I just want to, the reason why I ran for president and not House of Reps is because I didn't want, or Senate, not because it's easy to get into those places. If you don't have a few billions, you can't get in those places as well. Even House of Assembly, you have to know the right godfathers and spend untold money on them. That is the reality. Let's just understand that. But because I didn't want to get lost in there, by the time they're sharing the jeeps, I will have to collect my own. By the time they're sharing the, the allowances, all those insane allowances, and I'll have to collect my own. And so I felt, let us dump some ideas in the space from the top about how Nigeria can transform in itself. And that's what I hope will be my legacy as the person who came and ran, but who didn't win the election, but was able to dump a few intellectual ideas in the space about how things could be done better. I believe that's what I owe God, because I believe that our being here is about how much positive impact we can have on humanity, on society. I believe that the humanity of Nigerians needs to be improved. 75% of us live in slums, in untold slums, in abject poverty, and something needs to be done about that. I believe that Nigeria is a linchpin for the Black race itself. And so when we begin to talk about racial issues and all of that, we should understand that indeed there's a lot of burden on our shoulders, and everybody must struggle. Beyond all the nice and flowery things we may exhort ourselves with, the bottom line is to get out there and do something. Do something crazy. Do something that hasn't been done before in your family. Do something that you never thought that you could. And that's when you begin to test your mettle. Like Pastor Ito has said in passing, they say courage is the greatest of all virtues. Okay, without courage, you would never be able to even do good when you want to do good, because somebody will be there to discourage you and say, don't do good though, because those who did it before, it didn't work for them. So that's why they say courage is the greatest of all virtues. Once you have courage, a lot of things can pile on. You can step out there and change the world. Thank you very much once again, Pastor Ito, and everybody for listening. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. God bless you. We wish you very well. Our love and special care to your wife, your children, and all those who surround you. We wish you the very best in the future. I'm sure that maybe one day things will really turn out well for all of us and Nigeria. Once again, next week, Yemi Candid Johnson. His father was a judge. His brother is a judge. He's an SCN, a line of distinguished real legal professionals, and a very, very brilliant and sound mind, speaking on the Nigerian Constitution and politics. It's going to be very refreshing. It's going to be very fresh. He also leads a small movement that is concerned about the future of Nigeria. Those who are interested in being part of what we're trying to do, who have suggestions, ideas, who are ready to contribute some skin in the game of developing Nigeria and transforming this nation, who are ready to do something no matter how big or small, who are ready to commit some resource of some sort to try and see a positive change. Please go to the link in the chat room and please paste your information there so that we can keep in touch with you and tell you what next we're trying to do. Any ideas, any suggestions, any things you think we need to be doing, please place it on the chat room. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you all. I see quite a lot of people on the platform. I see Samson. I see my sister Bingpe. I see my brother Good. I see my brother Akikolue, and so on and so forth. I see them here. I see somebody walking the gym also listening to us. I see Adeyo Sola. I see Temi Tope. I see VT. And so on and so forth. Hendricks, you are there. Caroline Olasende, my great sister and friend. God bless you all. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of this discourse. My prayer is that our efforts will not be in vain. I see Adetong, I see Emmanuel, I see Alex, I see Felix Uwaje. God will continue to protect you. Tokumbo, it is well with you. Abidemi, God bless you. Brother Adeyemi, God be with you. Apostle Zeno, God bless you too. Gbade, it is well with you. Tolu Igodalo, my sister, God be with you. Campus Outreach, Allen family, God be with you all in Jesus' name. God bless you. Have a good evening. Have a wonderful night. See you next week, 5 o'clock by God's grace. And let's take this discourse forward. Thank you very much. And the backroom people, technical, Olu, Fire Ransom, Toby the Great, thank you so much for keeping this going. God bless you all. See you next week at 5 o'clock.